Good evening. I'm Olivia Calfee. We start with some breaking news here in Perry County. An apartment building near Main Street in Hazard caught fire this evening. As you can see from this video behind me, this is the Hazard Perry County Tourism Commission's Triangle Park camera. Good morning. I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6 a.m. on June 27th. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. And we can obviously talk right now about some of that fog. Patchy fog. I saw it whenever I was on my way in. There was times I really couldn't see the road at all. The memorial service for West Virginia State Trooper Sergeant Corey Maynard brought crowds of supporters to mourn the loss of a family man with a heart for his home. I am live in Somerset at the Rocky Hollow Recreation Center, where Mayor and GOP gubernatorial candidate Alan Keck voted at around 7 o'clock this morning. You asked me earlier if I thought that the weather had impacted any of these people getting out to the polls to vote, and I can tell you so far for the past hour or so it seemed to be pretty steady. I've been here since about noon today, and since I've been here, like I told you earlier, those wind gusts have remained pretty strong throughout the day. Just down the road from Riverside Christian School's original location is where I'm standing at their new one, where staff says students will walk through the doors on August 16th without having to worry about another flood entering the doors. Now that it has been over a month since the devastating floods swept across our region, various counties are now coming up with a long-term flood relief plan.
I like to say, I'm trying my best, honey.
This is Adeline Catron, a spunky 3-year-old who loves painting fingernails, playing with toys, and of course, her mom and dad, who say she is a light to the world.
I've never laughed so much in my entire life as I do just spending an after, like, she can turn anybody's day around.
But when Addie was approximately 6 months old, their world turned upside down as they were told their little girl was diagnosed with septo-optic dysplasia, a condition that primarily affects the brain and eyes, being told Addie was blind.
Of course, we're heartbroken, and devastated, but I told her, I said, we're going to get a second opinion. Let's not freak out yet, and there's more tests that they can do. So, of course, we did that, and the second opinion at Cincinnati Children's was much better.
With people from around the world praying, they found out Addie is not blind, but visually impaired.
So with Adeline, her optic nerves are underdeveloped. They're smaller, so it kind of gives like tunnel vision. It limits the field of vision.
But as Addie grew, nothing stopped her.
She can read books, she can memorize songs, she knows her ABCs, colors, all that.
And they began capturing her spunky personality in TikTok videos.
I didn't want any part of it. I was too scared of all the negative feedback.
But despite that fear, people from around the world fell in love with little Addie.
Then you get messages like, when I'm having a bad day, I have to go to TikTok and watch her videos. She makes my day better.
With more than 100,000 followers, people around the world are smiling because of this 3-year-old little girl from Perry County, Kentucky.
That's why we continue doing it, and hopefully it'll be something she can look back on one day and realize, she made an impact on some people's lives. So.
From looking back to 6-month-old Addie to looking forward to the Adeline she will be in the next 60 years, this is her parents' advice.
Oh, future Addie. Oh, please don't lose your personality. Please don't lose your spunk, and do not let this world crush you, because you are.
She's a light in the world.
She is. I mean, you are the light. You can shine.
Governor Andy Beshear, Representative Hal Rogers, and Senator Mitch McConnell recently announced more than $21 million in federal funding for the Panbow Lake Corridor project in Breathitt County. And yesterday I was able to speak with U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg as he made a stop in the area to see the site for himself and to hear from people in the community. Following back-to-back floods in Breathitt County, Panbow Lake raised concerns about more flooding in the future. And on Thursday, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg saw the site for himself.
Look, the whole country took note. when there were those floods, and we know that this is a vulnerable area to those extreme weather events. That's one of the reasons why, in a very competitive process, we decided to award this grant to this project for Panbowl Lake.
The grant funding is part of the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant program. Secretary Buttigieg says he knows the importance of the project.
The widening of Kentucky 15, that's important not just for transportation purposes, but for safety and resilience. The governor raised it multiple times with me, got a lot of letters about it, and having heard so much about this small community here in eastern Kentucky, I want to get out here and see it for myself.
The project is one of 162 projects across the country. And Kentucky Transportation Secretary Jim Gray says it shows eastern Kentucky is not being forgotten.
I was here the day after the flood, and I saw the conditions here, and I saw what needed to be done. And so it was inspiring to see that people were listening to us. And it was rewarding to see then that this grant, which was so needed for this project, was done.
And Buttigieg says his goal was to hear personal stories about what the community has overcome. And Jackson Fire Chief Chase Deaton says it was an honor that he stopped by.
I know a lot of times the emergency services, we're dealing with everybody else's problems, not really dealing with their own. But I know in this flood, in this department especially, I'd say over half of our members were in some way, some form or fashion affected by this flood. Some of our members had to be rescued. I just think it's just an honor that someone cares enough to come to Jackson.
Secretary Buttigieg went on to Lexington Thursday afternoon to highlight other Kentucky projects.
The Panbowl Lake Corridor project includes widening Kentucky 15 to 5 lanes from Kentucky 30 to Kentucky 1812. Adding a sidewalk and shared use path along Kentucky 15 and improving gate structures in the area.
You may have all this.
This is the song that is on Janice Vance's heart, and she hopes this story will help shine a light for the long road ahead.
I asked other people, I said, how long do you think that it's going to take? I said, for people to get this all cleaned back up. They said a long time. They said it's going to take a while.
As Janice was showing me flood damage around her property, she spotted a wooden cross laying next to the creek. The cross would typically be considered flood debris, but for her, it was something more.
He's showing us that he's with us. Exactly what that cross is for out there. He's showing that who's in control. Jesus is in control.
Janice says her home was okay, but her heart breaks for all of the people that live near her.
I've seen all these people's stuff sitting out piled up. And it brings tears to your eyes to see their stuff sitting out there, their stuff sitting out piled up.
The job doesn't get easier for the people in charge of picking it all up.
It's difficult to see. You see what people had, and you see what has happened to it after the flood event.
Sloan says that nearly everything they pick up has been placed near the road by its owner, but they still keep their eyes out for debris that someone could be missing.
If we see something that we think that holds value or that needs to be restored back to an owner, we're gonna try to handle those things with care and try to get them back.
KYTC says they have not found anything of value so far, but they will continue to look.
I've got this feeling that I don't need to worry because God will provide what we need. He will provide. You may have all this world, but give me Jesus.
This week, we are highlighting people and organizations that have stood strong and helped Eastern Kentuckians through troubling days and months following the July flood. I spoke with Kate Clemens, an Eastern Kentucky native who made it her mission to serve her community one warm meal at a time.
Many say she is a hero. She is dependable. Rain or shine, she is always there. But one Knott Countyan says she brought the story of David and Goliath to life.
The flood was Goliath trying to kill us all, and she took her little slingshot and defended this whole community, took down that giant.
Just days after the flood, Kate Clemens says she felt called to help by serving food.
I just knew when the flood hit, I had to step up and help in some way. And that's what Eastern Kentucky is about, helping each other.
Saying when she started, she did not know anyone in Knott County, but she saw the area was in need of help. Now, almost a year later, she says the people her food tent serves are more like family.
I think about their faces when I go to bed at night, and they're the first thing I think of when I wake up. And they have just been through so much.
Despite large organizations leaving, Kate has continued to serve hot meals multiple days a week, every week, since July 28th.
I've been the only hot meal provider in Knott County since August 27th, which is wild because I haven't worked with an organization. So to be able to do that on my own for so long and never have to cancel, that glory is all to God.
Saying she prays her newfound family always has one thing.
I always say the main message of the food tent is hope. It's not just about a hot meal, it's about them having hope and just knowing that they're not alone.
And she says because the people in Knott County continue to believe in her, the operation continues to grow.
I literally had a tent and pop-up tables in the back of my car. That's what I've operated out of. And now I'm in a parking lot, but it's growing.
In January, she established a nonprofit called Roscoe's Daughter, naming it after her dad.
People ask me a lot, how long do I think I will continue doing this? I have no idea. As long as God keeps sending ways to me to continue, I will do this. This is God's project.
A project that continues to bring her more than she will ever be able to express.
They always thank me for all I've done and for saving them and helping them get through a hard time, but the truth is they're the ones that have given me everything, and I hope they know how much I love them.
Promising to continue providing hope as long as God continues to provide.
I truly believe that we can come back from this stronger than before.
And the 2023 East Kentucky Leadership Award for Individual goes to Kate Clemens.